Okay, let's talk about carbon dioxide poisoning inside of the incubator. I have here 3 incubators, and we are now just talking about this one. As you can see, I have made these little holes for so that the eggs can get air. It's all inside of here. There is about 100 eggs in there. And I have also, as you can see, I have a carbon dioxide mirror inside of this incubator now. And the screen of it is broken, but the light will indicate levels of carbon dioxide. Now that it's green, the level is below 800. When it goes to yellow, it's somewhere around 800 parts per million to 1200 parts per million. And if it goes to red, it means it's 1200 parts per million to 1500 parts per million. And if it's red and it's beeping, it means it's over 1500 parts per million, which is toxic. So now it's green because I have the lid open. But I will now close this lid and shut this incubator off. Shut it, not shut it off, but shut it. And I will come back soon to see has the, like you see, now it's green, meaning the air quality there is good, since I just kept it open. So, but we will come back soon and check on it. And I will give the time how long it took to the air quality to change. Okay, this is now just 10 minutes after I close the lid. As we can see, the meter has gone to red and is giving the alarm sound, meaning that now inside of this incubator, the carbon dioxide levels is more than 1500 parts per million, which is toxic. And I have these air vents. Both of them are open. And it's still, just in 10 minutes, it reached the toxic level of carbon dioxide. So not to kill the eggs, let's open the lid a little bit. And also take into consideration that that window is open and that window is open. So the room is very well ventilated and it should have a very good air quality. But those holes for nowhere enough to provide proper ventilation inside of the incubator. Okay, one more thing. If you go to this YouTube channel, My Sar Farm, he has a plenty of these reviews of these incubators. Like here he has this, and here he is reviewing another one, which is a bigger one. But what is also interesting in these videos, that he gets the best hatch rate with this one. And what is interesting that this one and the bigger ones, they have the same size air vent, but this one has less eggs, which means that since there is less eggs, the eggs will produce less carbon dioxide. So what the conclusion from this and from the previous thing that I showed with the incubator, my do-it-yourself incubator, is that the bigger incubators might give you poorer hatch rates because some of the eggs die from carbon dioxide poisoning because the ventilation is not scaled to take into consideration the need for better ventilation where there are more eggs. So he rightfully notes that I'm not picking on him, I'm just using his videos to make a point about the carbon dioxide problem, which is not addressed usually. The point being that if you are gonna put a lot of eggs, lots of eggs, and even if you have just a few eggs, you really have to take into consideration this carbon dioxide poisoning property. Like little pinholes might not do the trick. And also consider this. Consider this that low oxygen and high carbon dioxide levels inside of the incubator can make it so that the chicks, when they are born or when they are trying to hatch, they are weaker. Since, as you can imagine, if you are doing physical activity in very poorly ventilated space, basically having a plastic bag in your head, that you might not be optimal. Your physical activity is greatly hindered by those low levels of oxygen and high levels of carbon dioxide. So that also that's my reasoning why some of the chicks might die inside of the eggs and fail to properly hatch the egg because they are in a space which is poorly ventilated. It has toxic levels of carbon dioxide. So even though they would naturally be able to, in good ventilation, to hatch the egg, now that they are inside of the plastic bag, which these pretty much are, since this is not enough, these holes are not enough ventilation, even though you might think it is, the chicks lack chicks are so hindered by this having this plastic bag in their head due to the enclosure that they lack the strength to open the egg. So I think the commercial incubators, not the small one but the big ones where you can put very much eggs, I think they have a design flaw since the air vents are so tiny. I understand that they want to maybe keep the air vents tiny because they want to have the humidity high. They want to be able to have the humidity high, so they make the air vents tiny. But by making the air vents tiny, they possibly kill the chicks and they enable them to do hard physical labor when they hatch the egg, and hence some of them might not hatch the egg at all and die in the process of hatching or something from carbon dioxide poisoning. So I think big incubators should take this flaw into consideration that they need more ventilation. And that's why I now, after this experiment, will go from these holes to these holes. And then I will see will these holes give me a will these holes be enough to keep the carbon dioxide level good? And also consider this, that people, when they don't know about the carbon dioxide poisoning that is happening inside the incubator, and they see chicks that didn't make it out of the eggs or who died in a process of hatching from the egg, they take that as evidence that the moisture level was too low, and hence the chicks couldn't open the egg. And then they might even close more vents to raise the moisture level. So it might be that these chicks are fully capable of hatching these eggs if they just have proper ventilation, even in lower moisture levels, compared to very poor quality and high moisture levels. So that's the point. Carbon dioxide poisoning inside of the incubator with just like these are theoretical air vents, meaning yes, there is an air vent, but it's nowhere enough. It took just 10 minutes to go from good air quality, which is below 800 parts per million, to poisonous air quality, which is about 1,500 parts per million of carbon dioxide inside of this incubator. 10 minutes. And I have two of these. So something to consider. And I'm also, now that I'm thinking about it, thinking that could this carbon dioxide poisoning play into these bird defects? Like, could it also cause those what we see, the splay leg, that the legs go apart and the legs are colored in and the neck is twisted? Like, people talk about that those are mostly vitamin deficiencies. But since there is so high occurrence of carbon dioxide poisoning, so that I'm arguing even that those chicks that usually die in the incubator and give you poor hatch rates, some of them will die of carbon dioxide poisoning. You cannot rule out entirely the possibility that also some of those bird defects are caused by that carbon dioxide poisoning and poor oxygen inside of the incubator. Okay, here is one source which seems to agree with me. Effects of temperature and carbon dioxide during late incubation of broiler chicken development. If you go in this paper here, beside H, which is exhale temperature, the carbon dioxide concentration during the late incubation also seems to affect embryo development and might even interact with exhale temperature. So there you go. The defects you see in your birds when you incubate them in an incubator where there is poisonous levels of carbon dioxide might not be caused by vitamin deficiencies, but it could be caused by high carbon dioxide levels inside of the incubator during the late development of the eggs. So there you go. It might not be vitamin E deficiency or vitamin B deficiencies. It could be just poisonous levels of carbon dioxide inside of the incubator, which the commercial incubators are very prone to, since they are trying to exchange high humidity to poor air quality, since they have so tiny air vents. And even those DUI incubators I made, in which I copied the model for the air vents from those commercial models, it took 10 minutes, I repeat, 10 minutes to go from good air quality to poisonous air quality. So there you go. You keep those eggs there like 15 days and it's a miracle any of them come out. And it's no wonder that so many of them have some splay legs or correlate toes or neck problems, and hence or lack the energy to hatch the egg. And hence you need so high moisture levels because they are barely hanging on to their lives due to the bad egg quality inside of the egg. Yes, so that's all. Something to consider. Carbon dioxide poisoning in incubating when incubating quail eggs or chicken eggs or whatever eggs. Okay, so I added this kind of hole more than my finger to this incubator and I have let it sit here with the lid closed. And again, I think in 20 minutes or so it reached the poisonous level of carbon dioxide. Even with the hole this big. So now I will add another hole so that it has holes like this, and then I will see will that eliminate the problem. There, now there is 2 vents, and let's now close the lid. And let's see how long it takes now for the good air quality turn into bad air quality, or is this now adequate ventilation? Yes, let's see. Okay, that didn't take long, maybe half an hour or so. And even though I have these huge holes, the air quality still went to toxic levels. So even this is not enough. But I think I will not put more holes, but the next step is to put on a PC fan inside of this incubator, because what the fan will do, okay, it will equalize the temperature differences, but it also will circulate the air inside of this, which will then cause more airflow through these holes. So, and this point that the airflow through these holes will be increased, that point also applies to the commercial incubators. Then the people, like some people make the point that they will hook up the circulation to these big incubators, the commercial ones, to equalize the temperature differences, because they have noticed that the chicks, the eggs, which are in the outer diameter of the incubator, they tend to suffer the most or not hatch. Something happens to them. And they theorize that is caused by the temperature difference between the middle point and the outer point. But it could also be that the air ventilation or circulation without the fan in the outer rim of the incubator is poorer. Like with this one. These are not enough without the fan to keep the air quality good. So I will add the fan to increase the air, to improve the air quality, not so much equalize the temperature differences. And the point with the commercial incubator was that the improved hatch rate that they experienced when they install the fan might not be due to equalized temperature differences, but because of the better air ventilation. Because the fan inside of this incubator doesn't only equalize the temperature, it will also increase the airflow to these. Since the air is moving inside of the incubator, moving air then will go out of this easier than still air. Especially if the outside air in this room is similar to the air inside of this incubator. Because in order to there to be an airflow, gravitational airflow, since the hot air is lighter than cold air, in order to this ventilation to work at all, there needs to be a temperature difference between outside air and inside air. So, inspired from that, I think I will try also to just take this incubator outside, because outside air is, where I live, is always way below this temperature. So the gravitational airflow should work better outside. So I might try that before hooking up the fan into these things. Okay, now I took the incubator outside. As you can see, this is outside. And let's now close it. Because now not only is there a bigger temperature difference inside the incubator and outside, which will help the gravitational airflow, but also now for sure the air outside is very good quality. Like the outside air normally is 400 parts per million carbon dioxide. So even if it didn't improve the ventilation due to the improved temperature difference inside the incubator and outside air, it could help the air quality inside of this, because now the air exchange that happens, the air that comes in is 400 parts per million. So we are now in green because I kept it open a little bit, and now that it's closed, I will see again how long it takes for the air quality to go bad, or if this setup is good enough to keep the air quality optimal, which is that I'm happy if the air quality stays between the 800 and 1200, meaning that this light is only yellow and not red. So let's see. Okay, it was outside maybe half an hour or so, and same result. Air quality reached toxic levels. So I think I need to add that fan. Not even the increased temperature difference inside of this and outside, and hence the improved gravitational air exchange, plus the fact that the outside air is now 400 parts per million carbon dioxide, meaning very optimal. Even those facts didn't resolve the issue. So I guess I now need to keep this open like this, and then when I have time and when the parts come, I will install a fan inside of the incubator. And if that doesn't help, I think I need to install a small fan here which will push air in so that there is a forced air exchange inside of this incubator. So that's the next solution. Also, I could maybe add these holes to the back of the incubator on the same spots. Maybe that could help also. Need to consider that. Maybe I first try the fan because it also equalizes the temperature difference. Because now the holes are asymmetrically put on this, meaning that they are only on this side, meaning that the cold air that goes in, it falls on these eggs which are here in the front first, and then it goes to the back eggs, meaning that there could be now a temperature difference between these eggs and the eggs that are very much behind, so that the fan would actually improve the incubator by equalizing the temperature difference. Okay, now I will just put this fan inside of this incubator, and this fan is maybe more powerful than a PC fan, but as a proof of concept to see will it actually improve the airflow to these holes too. I will just put it inside and do the experiment again, close the lid and see will the will the will the light again go to red even with the fan in. Okay, now the fan is will put the light on, we can see inside. Let's wait for it. Okay, now the fan is inside and the light already turned yellow. It was at the beginning green, but let's see are these holes enough when there is the fan inside. Again, I will come back if I hear the machine beeping. Okay, now some time has passed, and maybe when the lights go off, you can see that it's green, meaning that now the air quality inside of this is actually good. And actually, if we do a little airflow test, burn this a little bit and then shut it off. So now you can see that there is actually airflow. Like you can clearly see that this hole is pulling in air, which is a good thing. So melted that a little bit. Anyway, so the hypothesis that the air circulation inside of the incubator will actually improve the airflow through these holes was true. We are still in green. But now the question in mind could be that if we would have added that fan in the first place, could we have got away with smaller holes? So let's do that experiment now. So I'm just gonna take a ball of toilet paper and block this hole. And let's see, is that hole now enough to... Okay, it's already went to yellow. But let's see that, will it actually go to red? Meaning, if it goes to red, then it means that we need both of these big holes for optimal airflow. Okay, it has been here for a while and it goes to yellow, but the thing I noticed is that this is not good. Meaning that the temperature is now 38 when it should be 37.5. So what I think is going on is that the fan puts out heat and it's actually heating up it too much. So I'm gonna just open that so that there is more cooling when the air can go in. But with the PC fan, I think those put out less heat, so it could be this problem might not happen, that the fan is heating up the incubator too much. So, but anyways, it could be that if you have a PC fan inside which doesn't put out heat, and these holes would be like I had previously in the beginning. I'm not gonna test it now since the temperature will for sure go too high. Oh shit. Let's hope I didn't break eggs with that one. Oh boy. They don't seem to be broken. Was just trying to open the lid a little bit so that the temperature would drop. But anyways, that was the conclusion for this video. Carbon dioxide poisoning. It might be the reason why your hatch rate is low and why the chicks get birth defects and why they die inside of the egg, and many other things too could be caused by it. So I'm gonna just go with these holes, and the idea was that I make this a lockdown. I put them here for the lockdown and hook it up in the thermostat, and because if I put 100 eggs here, it could be a little bit crowded. But anyways, that's was the video. Bye.